If you need to lose weight, and if you've seen some of the big celebrity transformations recently, like Elon Musk or Adele or Rebel Wilson or even Oprah, you've heard that they're taking the drug Ozempic and you're trying to figure out, should you take that? Is it safe? Can you even afford it? Are there side effects? This video is for you. Hey, my name is Lucas. I am a yoga trainer and I'm a nutritional coach. And for 5 years, I co-owned a weight loss business where we worked exclusively with people suffering from obesity. I've also run this podcast now for 10 years, and through my work in the weight loss company, through my work in the podcast, I've really had unprecedented access to mainstream allopathic medical professionals, as well as all the people in the alternative realm, personal trainers, nutritional coaches. And I think from what I've learned, I can help share some ideas, not in terms of what decision you should make, but how to maybe think about making a decision for yourself. Quick disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor, and especially if you're suffering from obesity, please go get some help. This is a serious condition with very serious implications. Whatever you decide, this is just for educational purposes only, hopefully to help you in your own decision-making process. Before we talk about Ozempic, the chemical compound is called Semaglutide. It's really important to understand what type of weight loss person you are. Very often, if you go to the bookstore or you go to the nutritional store or even the pharmacy, it's almost as if all of us are in the same category, but that couldn't be less true. There are three main categories that I usually use to think about weight loss, and I think when I share these with you, you'll know exactly where you fit. The first category I just call a little bit chubby, and it's a silly word, and I don't mean that in any way, in a derogatory way, but almost all of us at some point in life, and often many times throughout life, get a little bit chubby. Maybe you eat a little bit too much during the holidays, maybe you have some stressful time at work or a bad breakup, or you're just making bad choices and you put on a little bit of weight. Maybe your face gets a little rounder. Maybe you have trouble getting into your favorite pair of jeans. This is for sure a hit on your self-esteem, but it's probably not a health crisis by any stretch of the imagination. For people in this category, just a little bit of weight, a little bit chubby, oftentimes the mainstream pop advice can be really effective. Diet and exercise interventions, little changes to your food and your macros, all the best-selling New York Times books that come out in January. Sometimes those things can work for people who have a very minor problem. And almost certainly if you're in that category, I don't think it makes any sense to consider pharmaceutical interventions, things like semaglutide. Too expensive, too many risks. The second category, which is a very, very large group of people, I would just call bigger-bodied people. And for bigger-bodied people, very often you've been carrying extra weight for years or often decades. It may be causing a major health problem right now, or maybe not. But for sure, it's just become part of your life. People in this category have almost always tried diet and exercise routines, had some success, gained the weight back, and then a little more. These yo-yo cycles very often are typical of people in this middle category, and it's really, really frustrating, and it may be leading to some health complications, but you know that, number one, the traditional stuff hasn't worked for you. Number two, you know that it's been quite a long time. And number three, you're just not sure what happens next. Is it possible that you'll find a new diet or exercise routine that will work? Totally possible. Is it possible that you'll meet an endocrinologist, a hormone specialist, make some changes, maybe a mental health professional that will make some shift and this long-term problem will go away? Totally possible. Is it possible on the flip side that things will get worse as the years go on, that your bigger-bodied condition will turn into clinical obesity? Also totally possible. If you're in this category, I think it's the most difficult place to be trying to figure out what to do to move forward. The final category is clinical obesity, and this represents a smaller but very, very growing part of the population. Clinical obesity, please know, it's a disease. This is not a moral failing. This is not about lack of willpower. The data is really, really clear. You and I, and pretty much everyone, we have very similar willpower. We have very similar work ethic and determination. There is not really that much variance. What happens with clinical obesity is suddenly a weight problem has moved into a clinical realm where quite literally someone cannot lose weight, and anything and everything needs to be considered to solve this problem. Is it possible that you're clinically obese and healthy? Yes, it's possible to be healthy at any size. Is it probable? No. Is it sustainable long term? Almost certainly not. The mainstream medical community defines clinical obesity as somebody with a BMI of 30 or higher. BMI is not really a great measure of anything, but it's all we have. And the reality is, if you're obese, you know, because your weight is a major factor in everything that you do. It's affecting the quality of your life, your movement patterns, your exercise, and it's most certainly affecting the way in which you get through your day. And it will almost certainly be correlated or causing major disease and illness at some point. If you have clinical obesity, for sure go see a doctor right away. And someone with clinical obesity needs to really look at pharmaceutical interventions, medical interventions, things like bariatric surgery, hormone replacement, all the different things. You really need to throw everything you can at the problem because it's such a major issue. And in this case, this is where insurers have actually approved Wegovy and eventually Ozempic and other of these semaglutide compounds for weight loss because it's such a big condition. The reason I want to mention that these insurers have covered this because number one, well, that's going to take the money issue off. And number two, it's just really important to remember that the insurance companies have decided that it's a better investment to pay for this medication than to leave you on your own with a condition that might quickly turn into a more expensive, from their perspective, more devastating from your perspective, lifestyle condition that they would have to cover. So those are the three categories, and based on which category you're in, I think it'll give you a little bit more insight in terms of what happens next. Some of you need to get rid of this video and go see something else. Some of you need to follow along as we talk about what semaglutide is, Ozempic, Wegovy, and some of the other GLP agonists that will come out in the future. So the compound behind Wegovy and Ozempic, it's called semaglutide, and it's a GLP-1 agonist, which sounds like a word salad, and essentially it's called glucagon-like peptide agonist. Fancy word for this precursor to a hormone basically stimulates your pancreas to release more insulin. Again, more words. Essentially, it helps you to manage your blood sugar. This is why these drugs were first approved for diabetics and continue to be very, very important for managing type 2 diabetes. When your pancreas secretes more insulin, it helps you to manage your blood glucose. The second thing that these GLP agonists do is they slow the emptying of your stomach. And from a weight loss perspective, if your stomach empties more slowly, you feel less hungry. What could be better, right? So that's how these things work. And the two brand names that are available now are Ozempic and Wegovy. And by available, I mean they're scarce, they're running out, they're selling out all over the place. There are future similar drugs that might be even more effective. So what does it mean by effective? Why is everyone freaking out? In the aggregate, they're contributing to about a 15% body mass loss in about 1 year. So within a 12-month period, the average user of semaglutide is losing 15% of their body mass, which is remarkable. It's more than any other pharmaceutical intervention ever before in history. And there's even evidence to suggest that future derivatives, other things acting on the same pathway that will probably be approved and released later on this year, will probably be even more effective, maybe even up to 20%. That's remarkable. It's significant. It's also a little bit scary. So let's talk about side effects. How does this work? Well, you get these shots, a little bit in your belly, and you shoot it right into your adipose tissue in your belly once a week. You do it at home, it's self-administered, and the most common side effects are gastrointestinal stuff. So gas, bloating, constipation, dizziness, nausea, fatigue, vertigo. These are really common side effects. Some doctors have protocols where they throttle your dosage, so you slowly ramp up, and they claim that that makes it better. However, some people get such strong side effects that they literally can't tolerate the medicine at all. Now, that doesn't seem so scary for most people. For many people who are in a very severe situation, they think, hey, if I get a little dizzy, that's not the end of the world. However, there are suggestions that more serious complications might be happening. Things like gallstones, your gallbladder, gallbladder inflammation, pancreatitis, your pancreas from, remember, that insulin stimulation, kidney problems potentially. There's even some research in mice that suggests your thyroid might be susceptible to tumors and cancer. Who really knows? But I think we probably will know within 1 to 3 years now that tens of millions of people are taking these drugs on a regular basis. So the first big consideration is, are those side effects or those potential side effects worth the risk? Second big consideration is cost. If you're in that clinical obesity category, it's possible that your insurer will cover this for some period of time. Will they insure you forever? Very unlikely. Will they insure you for a year? Possibly. If you are not covered by insurance, or if your insurance runs out, you're talking about $600 to $800 per month right now. So let's call it $7,000 to $10,000 per year, depending on where you live in the world, if you can even get access to this. That's a very, very serious expense. Now, history has shown that people will spend just about anything, but can you spend just about anything forever? Unlikely. And that comes to consideration number 3. What happens when you stop? And everyone needs to stop. whether that's because of the cost or because of the side effects or just because how could you be on a drug like this for the rest of your life? What happens then? The early research shows that probably people will rebound. If you haven't made the diet and the lifestyle, and probably more importantly, the hormonal changes to balance your system out, it's very, very likely that you'll rebound. Now, the opposite might be true. They might find over years that, if you're on this for 14 months or 16 months or 13, whatever the magic number is, maybe it does lead to greater insulin sensitivity and lowered overall blood glucose and an A1C that's normalized. It might be the case that this is just the kickstart you need for long-term weight loss. The early evidence suggests that the rebound effect is really, really strong. With those three things in mind, I think you need to ask yourself, number one, are those side effects worth it? Number two, can I afford it? And number three, am I able to, if I decide to take this drug, am I able to make some lifestyle interventions, some dietary interventions, and get some professional help so that hopefully these things can stick long-term, because that's a big risk and a big expense to take. Hope you found this video helpful. Again, my name is Lucas with YOGABODY. I have a teaching calendar you can find online at yogabody.com. I have a podcast called The Lucas Rockwood Show. We talk about weight loss and health and wellness. If you'd like more science-based yoga videos and health videos, hit subscribe down below. If you have taken Ozempic or Wegovy, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below if it's worked for you, if you've had side effects or challenges. And lastly, if you would like to connect with me online, please check me out at yogabody.com.